Okay, this video is going to be about metric to metric conversions. So the metric system, we're talking about a base 10 system that uses prefixes. So you've probably heard some of these things. Kilometers, centimeters, milliliters, those are all metric system units. So the reason that you could have a meter and a centimeter are those prefixes. So three common ones, like I just said, kilo, centi, and milli. For us, we're going to be working with these 6. So it's base 10. So my base unit right here, which is going to be things like grams, meters, liters, joules, that's basically 1. If I move my, if I go to my right here, we're getting smaller. And if I move to the left, we're getting larger. So this is what we're going to work with. Now, there's tons of memory devices for this. The one that I use is Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. So these first letters are the abbreviation for these letters. Okay? And B stands for base. And for this video, the base units we're going to be using are meter, liter, and gram. So for our metric system naming, we're going to put our prefix name and then the base unit. So centimeter, so a centimeter, a kilometer, a milligram. So notice these are base, and then these are our prefixes. Okay. So let's talk about converting. So I'm going to pull up our screen here. So let's say that I have 1.2 kilograms and I want to use grams. So this is what I call a letter line. So I write it out to kind of help guide me. So Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. Now capital D is deca, little d is deci. Now, I am starting with kilograms because my number that I'm starting with is kilograms. So I'm going to put a dot, and I'm going to put an S for starting so I know where I'm starting at. Now, I need to end at grams. Well, if I look at this, there's no G. Well, I have to know that grams is a base unit. So I'm going to put a dot under there and put E for end. Now, one way to think about base units is they only have one letter for their abbreviation, because you're only using the name of that base unit. So if it's one letter, then we're talking about a base unit. I'm going to put a little note up here so we can remember that. One letter. So now, to get from start to end, I need to count and see how many times I need to move my decimal. So 1, 2, 3. So I had 1, 2, 3 letters to move from kilograms to grams. And I moved my hand to the right. So I'm going to do that same thing up here. So again, I moved 1, 2, 3 times. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 times. Those are empty spots. I need to put some placeholders. So I'm going to put placeholding zeros. Now remember, when we're talking about significant figures, yes, you still have to do significant figures with a metric system. I only had 2 sig figs here. So I can only have 2 sig figs here, which right now I do because I don't have a decimal. If I put a decimal here, then I'm going to have 4. So you need to make sure just because we move the decimal over, that does not mean you should write the decimal in your answer. So again, we cannot change our number of significant figures. Let's check out our next example. We're going to go from liters to milliliters. So I'm going to start the same way again. Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. Now this time I'm starting with liter. Now remember, we said that a base unit has a 1-letter abbreviation. So here we are with liter, 1 letter. So that's my base unit. So that's where we're going to start, S for start. And I'm going to milliliter. So milli, M. So that's where I'm going to end. 1, 2, 3. And I moved my hand to the right. Now when I look at this number, there's not a decimal explicitly written out. So if there's not a decimal written out, then we assume that it's at the end of the number. So we're going to start right here, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to fill those in with place holding zeros. Again, I cannot put my decimal here because I only have 3 sig figs here, and I need to maintain only 3 sig figs in my conversion. So we're just changing the unit here. There should be no changing of significant figures. Now let's look at one where I'm not going to or from a base unit. So I'm going to go from milligrams to kilograms here. So again, I'm starting the exact same way. Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. And I am going to be milligram as my start. So milli, start, kilogram, K, is my end. And I moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I moved my hand to the left. So there's no explicit decimal here. So I'm going to start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I need 2 place holding zeros there, but I am going to have to put a decimal because I need it to be less than 1. Now, notice I did not write this 0. So when I'm looking at this, when I'm talking about sig figs for 2, 3, 4, 0, the decimal is absent, so I'm going to start on the Atlantic. So I'm going to start on the right side until I hit my first non-zero number. So this 0 is not significant. This 4 is. So I need 3 sig figs. Here the decimal is present. So I'm going to start at the Pacific, the left side. I'm going to move over till I hit my first non-zero number. 1, 2, 3. I only can have 3 sig figs, so I cannot put that 0 there because it was not significant. So watch yourself whenever we are doing those conversions. Let's check out another one where we are not going to or from a base unit. So I'm going from 90.01 decimeters to centimeters. So Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. Now notice this is a lowercase d, deci. So I'm going to go to my lowercase d here for my start. And I want to end at centi. So I moved 1 to the right. 900.1 centimeters. So that one was pretty straightforward. The number started and ended with a non-zero number, so that made our sig figs a little bit easier. Let's look at one more example here. Kilometers to millimeters. So Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. Starting at kilometers, I'm ending at millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move my hand to the right. There's no written decimal, so I need to go after that number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And remember, I cannot put a decimal here because those cannot be significant. One other thing that I do want to mention is something like 18 meters equals how many decameters? So if I'm looking at something like this, 18 meters equals how many decameters? Then I need to say Kevin hates dates because dates cost money. And I am starting with a single letter. Now remember what we set up here, 1 letter for my base unit. So I am not starting here at milli. This doesn't have a prefix. This is just meter. So I need to start at my base. I want to end at deca. So I moved 1 spot to the left. No express decimal here, so it has to be at the end of the number. 1 spot to the left. 1.8 decameters. Okay. Here is a wrap up, some questions for you to try on your own. So try these. So pause the video, try those, and then come back and I will give you the answers. And then there are your answers. Let me know if you have any questions.